whatever's left of Von Wagner in this match. He's going for his uncle's diner recliner hold. I don't even know what they call it here. Von Wagner is almost trying to stand up, so he does a smart thing. He turns it into a sleeper hold or a front face. Whoa. Gets out of it by going in between the turnbuckles. Back comes Von Breaker with the right hand. Von Wagner's guy had enough of that. So he blocks right hand. He gives him not one but two blocks and two right hands. Three up with the third one. Irish whip. He stays standing so he can jump with a clothesline and get a regular clothesline. Knocks down Braun Breaker. We call that butterfly suplex that he just hit him with. Ooh, avalanche in the corner. On this. Against the ropes, comes back with a big boot into the face of Braun Breaker. See. Braun Breaker gets out of whatever he was going for. Whatever it was set up with fireman's carry. Could you just do a high knee to Braun Breaker? Whatever he did, he got him down for a 2 count as Braun Breaker gets out with a right shoulder. Actually, a left shoulder. Looked like a right shoulder for a second. Robert Stone's getting a little too excited on the outside, jumping up and down, telling him to set up the table to put Braun Breaker through the table. Braun Breaker's fighting out of it, and he pushes Von Wagner into the steps outside. The referee just looking at Robert Stone, telling him not to get involved. And while the referee's doing that, Braun Breaker just hit Von in between the legs, and the old Ric Flair maneuver where you put your arm in between your opponent's legs. I mean, I saw him do that more than anybody else, so I call it that. He has to put his boot over the chair, stop Robert Stone. He puts his left hand over his throat to threaten him, picks him up, but he's got to put him aside, which I believe he does. Oh, spear to Wagner, gets him down. Let's see. Goes in there, sets him up for another spear. 1, it's like 2, 3. He wins the match. Robert Stone, I don't know what he's thinking hitting Braun Breaker with that chair. I have to say this. They really made a mistake having Robert Stone go after him like that, because a manager is, even though other managers have gotten involved in the past, it's usually a heel turn, not a babyface turn. And it's obvious they're trying to build up Von Wagner as a hero against Braun Breaker. That's why this was a mistake. He goes for that power bomb. Ooh, breaks the ring. So, Carmelo Hayes is asked about how when he lost I think he lost his rematch against Ilya Dragunov, because his good friend came out as a surprise. And then he lost, so he was asked how he feels about that, and I believe he said that he didn't know what. Actually, I'm not even going to try to speculate. And what I like about this this story right here is that instead of it being the smaller man who got attacked from the back, it's the bigger man. That's so different than what we expect. Like, when they started Triple H versus Shawn Michaels rivalry that lasted until 2000 and late 2004, I believe. When they started that, it happened just like this story here, where they didn't know who attacked Trick Williams, but it was somebody. And so I'm interested in seeing where this heads. And then the second time they did a story like that was when they decided to turn Big Cass into a quote heel. I know they don't like to use those terms, but this is how I look at it. Even in today's society, you need a villain and a hero, and that's what a babyface and a heel are. There's a hero and there's a villain. So what I like is, that's another example of why I like that. Because the second time they did a storyline like that, it was the bigger man. Once again, the bigger out of the two is one who did the attacking. So this is very different than what you would expect. Then when they come back from the commercial break, they show a vignette of 2/3 of the Brawling Brutes coming back to NXT, announcing their return to NXT, excuse me. Now, I know that one half is Lola Vice of the first women's tag team that comes to the ring. I know that I think she won the women's breakout tournament. And she's got that female member of Santos Escobar, his NXT faction. His former female manager, so to speak, or former female member of his NXT faction, they started using her as like a mentor for Lola Vice. I made a mistake where instead of hitting pause or instead of hitting pause, I hit recall. So I had to go back to menu, press play, and sort of Lola Vice has her breakout contract in her hand. And Electra Lopez is the name I couldn't think of. They first come out. What's interesting about Lola Vice is, like Ronda Rousey and Brock Lesnar, even though Brock Lesnar was in the WWE before, but most people today know him as being a former UFC fighter. One of the best, quote, draws the UFC has. So let me say it like this. Just like Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, Lola Vice is from MMA also. And that was at least one advantage that she had over most of her opponents in that tournament, was that she had an experience in fight. Roxanne Perez and Kalani Jordan were their opponents, and Roxanne Perez is another former winner of the NXT Breakout Tournament. The difference between herself and Lola is she broke out in wrestling a few years before, she did the NXT Breakout Tournament. Before the match began, the NXT Queen, Ariana Grace, which Miss NXT as she calls herself, that is actually, I like that idea too, because I remember FCW used to do this, where anybody that was too inexperienced to get in the ring right away, that needed extra time training in the ring, they would put a tiara on their head and they would have them develop their character before they put them in the ring. And that's why I like this, because they kept an original idea from their old developmental territory. Or at least they brought it back if they didn't keep it. Ooh, forearm by Lola Vice is Electra Lopez starts this match. That Irish whip attempt was turned around on her quickly by Roxanne. She comes by with double hand thrust like that. She does follow a slam. The person who I acknowledge came up with that move because he was the first person I saw use it. Razor Ramon. So, a la Razor Ramon. He ends up tagging out to Lola, who goes in there with armbar. Roxanne gets out of it by going for a pin attempt. Then, after the kick out, she goes after the left arm of Lola with a wrist lock. Then she goes to the right arm of Lola, does a wrist lock and a couple front-handed palm strikes. Actually, chops. He jumps down and does an arm drag like I used to see. Actually, what I used to see Eddie Guerrero do was he would do that, but instead he would do that in the middle of tag team matches usually. Where he'd go up top and he would come off the top rope to do a head scissors to the illegal man of the team. So now that I see Sasha Banks and now Roxanne Perez do that, I can see he actually would used to finish that with an arm drag. Because I believe that's why they do it.